York's very own muscle building coaches, Anthony Bevilacqua and Pete Kacharian, proudly present to you New York Muscle Radio.
What's up, ladies? We're back. New York Muscle Radio, episode number 172. And the reason why I'm saying ladies is because I'm sure you all read the title, Pregnancy, Nutrition, and Your Best Body with Isabel Norton. So obviously this podcast today is geared toward our female listeners. We're talking today all about pregnancy. We have coming on Isabel Norton, so I'm super excited. She's going to talk about her journey with pregnancy, having 2 kids, and the struggles that she went through. So super excited, except the only thing is we kind of lack those parts, big guy, to have children and bear children. So I kind of feel like we're in the movie Junior here.
Where did you get Junior?
I told you.
No, the truth this time. We're talking about my baby.
Come on, keep your voice down. All right, I got it from Redden's lab, so?
Well, it's Diana's.
You mean hers personally?
Yes.
Uh-oh.
Well, you're supposed to get an anonymous egg.
Shh.
What?
I tried. Everybody was all out.
Can you do anything right, Larry?
Wait, don't start with me. If you'd have stopped taking the expectane when you were supposed to, none of this would be an issue right now.
What a horrible thing to say.
It was the truth. Keeping it going was your idea, not mine. Women have such convenient memories when they're pregnant.
Now take that back.
That was a Freudian slip. I know you're not a woman.
No, the part about it should have ended it. Junior heard that. Now take it back.
For crying out loud. Okay, I take it back.
No, like you mean it.
All right, Junior, I'm sorry. I take it back.
Oh, God. So for those of you that never saw the movie Junior, it's basically an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie where he fathers a child. He actually goes through the whole birthing process. It's an hilarious movie. You guys got to watch it if you haven't. But Big Pete, what's up, man? This podcast is rolling in just in time for Mother's Day, man. This is definitely the best form of birth control for you. Definitely. I think it's going to be one of those episodes for you. You're going to be scarred tonight.
For me, quite possibly. I guess some other people it might be a nice encouragement. It might be a lot of good information, and hopefully that's what it is for most people, because that is the goal with this episode. We're trying to give all the listeners out there that are thinking about getting pregnant or are planning on getting pregnant anytime soon, all the information they might need to help them with their journey and reaching their fitness goals. Their journey.
Yeah, the baby Bjorn. Bjorn, that's what it sounds like. You know what that is?
I think so. What is it?
Guess. A baby Bjorn. Guess what that is?
No, actually, I don't know what that is.
All right, good. Well, I'm going to let you, I'll let that hang. I'll let you see if you can figure out what a baby Bjorn is.
Is that something that you got? Baby Bjorn?
You'll never know, I guess, huh? I'm going to leave you hanging like you do everyone else. This is how everyone feels when you refuse to give out information on the podcast.
I think you're the only one who feels that way, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, because you just never reveal the true Pikacharian. But I want to thank everyone who reached out to me based on the last episode. I appreciate the outreach, of course, and I've gotten a lot of messages and people just so kind in their words and just make me feel so much better. So I feel back today, man. I feel good, and I'm just having a bad day, I guess, in the last time we recorded. So thank you for everyone who reached out to me. I truly, truly appreciate it. But just super excited for this episode today, man. I mean, again, I went through it with my wife. And again, I say it on the podcast here that I only know how to make a child. That's about it. That's all I'm good at. The whole birthing process, I don't really know what women want to know when it comes to that. I was thinking about getting my wife on for it, but my wife's not into fitness like that. My wife, went through a huge transformation too. She gained 65 pounds with Gabriella and then lost it all. She's back to where she was before that. So I know I could probably get her on here at another time if anyone wants to hear her on here. But I guess it'd probably be a better podcast if she came on here and talked about living with me more so than the pregnancy stuff, because I'm pretty sure I'm not easy to live with.
Yeah, I would have to give it a full interview and give the listeners a little piece of Anthony that he doesn't share on the podcast.
Oh my God, dude, we should do that. That'd be a great podcast. If you guys want to hear that, let us know. Hit us up on Instagram at AB Fitness, Pete's at Jack Fitness, JKKED Fitness. We should definitely do that. I have you interview Jen. That would be hilarious, actually. I think that would be good. I don't know if I want that, actually.
Yeah, I think between me and her, we'd get all the bad stuff out there.
Yeah. She'd probably complain about how I leave crumbs on the counter. Dude, I don't understand, man. I clean the countertop, right? Like, I'll eat whatever. I'll clean the countertop. and she'll still find crumbs. I'm like, how is that possible? But dude, one day, and you know my wife's a neat freak, so everything has to be clean. So I said, you know what? I'm going to do something nice for her. I'm going to clean up the house. I'm going to get everything nice and neat for her before she comes home from work. Clean everything. Like, I really went out of my way to clean everything. She walks in. This house is such a mess.
Oh, wow.
Dude,
That's great, man.
My head. I mean, you know how my wife is, so definitely that's something that she would say. But I'm like, what the hell? Sometimes I really feel like I live in the Twilight Zone.
Well, that was funny. The one week that I was there, and I kept mixing protein shakes over by the sink. You're like, hey, Jen, you know, this week, did you notice any extra protein powder by the sink? She's like, yeah. Like, oh, well, that was Pete. That was
right
Pete.
under the bus. Yeah, man. Mother's Day's coming up next week. I believe it's next Saturday. So, what do you have planned for Mother's Day? You doing something nice for your mom? Because your mom deserves some type of an award, man. She had you.
Yeah. Well, actually, my mother's birthday just passed too, so we went out to dinner.
Get out of here! Happy birthday, Mama Kacharian.
So, yeah, we just celebrated her birthday on Sunday.
Is it a big birthday, like a big milestone birthday?
No, just another birthday. But
hey, listen, man, every birthday's important. See, what kind of a son are you?
We asked if it was a milestone birthday. It wasn't a milestone.
You're like, no. You're like, it's not a big deal.
It's not a milestone.
Go ahead.
Every birthday of hers is special, though.
See, there you go. See, that's what makes you a good son.
Yeah. So we went out to dinner, and then usually
where'd you go? Seasons.
We went to Season 52.
God.
My mom actually likes that restaurant, believe it or not.
Well, it is really good food.
I turned my whole family onto that, believe it or not, because my father hates going out to eat, no matter what. Like, every place, it's terrible. There's only like a few places you get him to go eat, but he'll eat at Seasons 52. He enjoys it. So that's actually a place that I could get my whole family to go to, and everybody's happy, which is a very, very tough. So usually, we'll do something for my mom's birthday, and then Mother's Day we'll just go to her house and I'll visit for the day. Usually we don't go out or do anything crazy for Mother's Day like that. It's more of a low key day. But yeah, so her birthday and Mother's Day always right around the corner from each other. So it's it's a good time of the year.
So your mom's a May baby too?
April 30th.
Oh, so my birthday's May 30th and she's April 30th.
Yes.
Wow. That's interesting.
What does that mean? Does that make you guys the same sign or no?
No. No, I mean, I don't know. Since everything changed, who knows? But yeah, no. I'm a Gemini. I think she's a Taurus.
Yes, she's a Taurus. Yeah.
So I don't know. So that's exciting, man. Yeah, Mother's Day's coming up. This is just the perfect time to drop this so we can give everyone all the pregnancy nuggets that they need to know about. And I think this is going to be a really good episode, man. I'm excited to come on here. Isabel's a really, really sweet girl. It's Lane Norton's wife. And for those of you who don't know who Lane Norton is, just use the Google machine and you'll find out who he is. But did you ever meet Isabel?
Yes, we met a few times, a few years ago, actually. So I believe it was either at the Arnold or the Olympia. Maybe possibly both of them, actually.
Yeah. She's a sweet girl. So super excited to have her on today to talk about all this stuff. Because, again, we needed help on this one. So we called in the big guns.
We couldn't get this done without her today.
Yeah, definitely not. So let's move on. I have an interesting nutrition article here. And this is actually a tidbit. This is a sound tidbit. This was actually on the news. So it's a little bit long, so it's like 2 minutes, but I think it's worthy to give it a listen. So let's play this here.
A major change is coming to packaged foods, a change that hasn't happened in more than 20 years.
The Food and Drug Administration announced nutrition fact labels will be getting an update soon. WEAU's Noel Anderson has the details.
The iconic look of the nutrition labels we know will still be the same, but there will be important updates to ensure consumers have access to the information they need to make informed decisions about the foods they eat. Whether it's for weight loss, healthy eating, or just knowing what's in our food, many of us are accustomed to reading the nutrition facts on the back of the products we buy. And for the first time in more than 20 years, the FDA is updating nutrition fact labels.
The FDA has been working very hard to educate consumers and help the public to make healthier choices through clear nutritional guidance through these food label changes.
Clinical dietitian Ashley Short with Marshfield Clinic says the new labels will be easier to see and understand.
They're going to be making the calories and serving size larger and bolder, so it's more easy to see. Also, they switched around the servings per container and the serving size. They're also using more common household measurements. So, for instance, 1 cup is going to be easier to understand. They also eliminated the calories from fat statement.
According to the FDA, by law, serving sizes must be based on amounts of food and beverages that people are actually eating, not what they should be eating.
One area of particular importance is the fact that they're adding the added sugars under total sugars. A lot of times people don't realize how much they're taking in daily from added sugars. Less than 10% of our calories should be coming from added sugars. So if you're basing that on a 2,000 calorie per day diet, that's 50 grams of added sugars per day or less.
Plus, vitamin A and C will be replaced with vitamin D and potassium.
Vitamin D and potassium just seem to be more of a public health concern at this time.
The overall goal of this update to make sure customers are properly informed on what is in their food.
We have to make it as easy as possible for the consumer to understand so they're able to make those healthy food choices.
And the new labels will roll out by next year, July of 2018, so there's plenty of time to do your research on the new design.
Yeah, so isn't that interesting?
Yeah, it is. I think it's good that I think it's a step in the right direction. The only problem I see with that is I don't see that necessarily helping the average person, unfortunately. Only because the average person in general who's not really paying attention to that stuff doesn't really know what to look for on the nutrition labels to begin with. That's the problem with, I think, the average person over-consuming calories is that they're just not educated enough to know what to look for, and that you see, okay, how many calories it has or how many grams of fat or how many grams of carbs. But most people aren't even educated or don't educate themselves to understand, okay, is that a lot of fat or is that too much carbs? And I think, yes, they make it easier for the average person to read it and understand what it has or what it doesn't have. But I really think the key, if they're doing this to try to help the average person has to help themselves by educating themselves on what to look for and what not to look for,
Yeah, I think the one thing that really needed to change, and I think it's still going to have to change based on what they're showing here with nutrition, is the serving sizes. I think that the serving sizes should be more clear. I mean, they said it in the thing that they're going to make it more clear, but something that normally someone would finish, there's there's 3 servings in here.
Right.
So give me the amount for one serving, but give me the calories for the whole container. I know they have that on some items now. Right. But I wish they would do that for everything. I wish it would be standard because certain things, like I think of ice cream when I think of that. Someone could eat a whole pint of ice cream. If you could see the calories for the entire pint of ice cream, you may be less likely to eat the whole thing based on that instead of just showing a serving size. Because you could look at a serving size and it could say 200 calories. Who cares? But when you see 600, you're like, oh, wow, that's 600 calories. I think that's something that I think is cool. I think the one thing that I like also that they're removing the calories from fat. I always thought that was a waste on a nutrition label.
Yeah.
I thought that was stupid. But I think it's stupid that they're adding in the added sugar in there also. I think that's retarded.
Yeah. And you know what's crazy too? This is reminding me of one time where I only had this experience once, but I couldn't believe it when it happened. Because generally when you say servings per container or something like that, or a serving size, but it's a whole container, like you said, like the ice cream, a serving size might be a third of the whole thing or whatever it is. That's generally for something like that where you're not intended to eat the whole thing. But I actually had the opposite happen once when I was looking up the nutrition label at a restaurant where they served me a meal, but the serving size was half the meal. Have you guys seen that before?
I don't know, man. Is anybody going to answer you?
I'm talking to you.
You said, have you guys?
No, I asked you.
You said, have you guys? I heard, have you guys?
I don't know. I was talking to you, though.
What was the question? Oh, yeah, if I've ever had the two, whatever,
so I ordered a meal.
I don't think so. Where were you?
P.F. Chang's. I
really?
went to P.F. Chang's.
And I only went there once.
I looked up the meal that I had, right? And, I ordered the, I believe it was the Mongolian beef. So if anybody goes to P.F. Chang's and orders a Mongolian beef, check the serving size before you plug it into MyFitnessPal. But I looked up the nutrition facts and, I ordered one meal. And I looked it up online and, it said it had whatever. It had 20 grams of fat, 40 grams of protein, 30 grams of carbs, or whatever. I don't know what the numbers are. Those probably aren't right. But I looked at it and I said, okay, that's not bad. I ate it, right? Then I went back and I double checked it. And it said servings, 2. So there was 2 servings. One plate had 2 servings of those macronutrients. Like, is that, are they intent, like, are they purposely trying to deceive you with that? Like, I was like so confused with that, because I'm like, who would order a meal and eat half of it? You know, like, okay, only half is a serving size. Well, then why wouldn't that meal just be half the size? If that's the amount you're supposed to eat, why did they bring you out 2 servings of it? You know?
Yeah, it's idiotic. That's what I'm saying. I think that has to change. I think that whole added sugar thing is going to make things confusing. I like how they put like vitamin D on there. I think that's really cool for people to get in there. I think the potassium might be a little bit of a waste too. But again, they always do these things to gear toward people. But I think they make it so much more confusing than it needs to be. Like I said, on a container, it should have 1 serving, what's the serving size, and what the whole thing is. Because like I said, even if you get a pizza crust, serving size is 1 out of 8. That's what it says. But who's 1? You know what I mean? Like, you could cut. I know you're supposed to cut things evenly in 8, but like, if I'm eyeballing it and I want to, be bad, I could say, oh, it's only 1 slice, it's 1 serving. I could lie to myself. You know what I mean? So I think if you have the whole thing on there next to it, I think that will make a huge difference. I know some labels. I definitely see that with like Snapple. Snapple has that on their stuff, but I don't know. Overall, it's good. It's definitely a good thing. So I think it's definitely a step in the right direction. Basically, they made the things bolded and took out a lot of the other stuff. But I think there's still more that they can adjust. I don't know who makes these decisions, man, but I would love to speak to them, because they clearly don't talk to normal people when they they come up with these ideas.
No, not at all.
Like the added sugar thing. Why can't they just put total sugar? Like, I don't understand why they have to put added sugar. Just count the whole total in there in sugar. Why put added?
You know
it's
what
gonna
it is?
confuse people so much more.
Yeah, it's gonna confuse people.
Because basically it says, normally on a label it says like how much sugar is in it now. So basically, like, let's just say it's juice. I don't know, whatever. I don't. I can't even think of an example off my head. But say it has 37 grams of carbs. Underneath it, it'll have 10 grams of sugar, which is just naturally from whatever the food is. And then underneath that, now it's gonna have added sugar. 20 grams. Like, what?
Well, that's
that's how much sugar they put in.
Yeah.
That's, I guess, a tablespoon of sugar that they added in. And I get that, but I don't know. I just put the total sugar. It's the same thing.
That's also a big marketing thing, though. People are selling products now, no added sugar. So I think that honestly, there probably has something to do with that in there. Somebody's either benefiting from it saying no added sugar, or taking away from somebody else by saying, look, this has this amount of added sugar in there.
They should put on a nutrition label, man, how much % soy is actually in the product. That should be in there.
That doesn't help companies because they all have soy in it.
Yeah, I know. It's scary. All right, man, let's move on to the listener question today. Guys, if you have a question and you'd like us to answer it, you could submit it on our website, NewYorkMuscleRadio.com/listener question. And oh my God, man, I completely forgot to announce this. Holy crap. You're going to have to re-edit this, man. You're going to have to re-edit this. Ladies, you can get a free 12-week program from New York Muscle Radio. Head on over to NewYorkMuscleRadio.com/getjacked, JAKKED. It's a free 12-week training program for men and women. We're going to also make the option on there. We have a bikini ready program also. So if you're listening to this and you go to the website now, you might Pete's got to work on it, so I'm not sure if it's going to be up right now, but you could select male or female in some way. If you click on the female one, you'll get the female program. If you click on male, you get the male program. But either way, head on over to NewYorkMuscleRadio.com/getjacked and pick up your free 12-week program today. I can't believe I forgot to say that, man. I was so excited for this podcast, I forgot to mention that. But anyway, back to the listener question. So the subject of this email we got was muscular legs hiding under fat. My lower body seems to get bigger with any workout that containing leg weights. I feel like there's a layer of outer fat on my muscles, giving me the impression that my legs are bigger. This is a torture psychologically. I'm looking for a suggestion on leg training. I am Latina, so I know genetically we carry fat on our lower halves. Thanks, and great podcast from Eliana.
That's a good question, because I think a lot of people suffer from that issue. A lot of women, at least. And yeah, they don't realize, okay, is it muscle, is it fat, or is it a mix of both? And if they want to tone their legs down a little bit, what should they be doing? Because you always hear, okay, if you want great legs, you should do squats, you should build muscle. But she might be looking at herself saying, but I think there's a lot of muscle there because my legs are large. And her goal, assuming her goal is that she probably wants to make them smaller, she wants to tighten them up. I'd say if your legs are on the larger side and you kind of want to shrink them up a little bit, but you want to maintain nice, shapely legs, she should probably focus, honestly, on doing a lot of high-intensity cardio rather than weight training. Like, the weight should still stay in there, but I think her goal should be to use high-intensity cardio as a tool to overall burn body fat, and especially to bring those legs in a little bit tighter, because the high intensity intervals will definitely do that. The weight training should still stay in there because you do want to stimulate those muscles with heavy weights as well. But yeah, her goal shouldn't be to add additional muscle through weight training if she's trying to tone her legs down. So HIIT cardio will definitely be, I'd say that would be the staple of her, should be the staple of her training.
Yeah, I mean, and you also got to remember, we did an episode on this before. Muscle, what the hell do we call it? Can you turn fat into muscle?
Right.
I couldn't think of it. I was having a brain fart there. But yeah, go back and listen to that episode, because you have to treat fat as one thing and muscle as another thing. They're not, they're two different tissue. You can't, if you're gaining muscle, it's going to, like Pete said, the body fat level has to be lower in order to see more definition come out. So you're just experiencing your muscles being pumped up, and that's why they feel so big. So a muscle is not fat, and fat is not muscle, so you can't associate those two together. So go back and listen to that episode. I think that one will help a lot. But if that's the case, I would definitely focus on body fat loss, because I think that's really where your issue is. And if you focused on being in a caloric deficit, you would definitely see more results. You can even head on over to NewYorkMuscleRadio.com and pick up a copy of Cracking the Flexible Dieting Code, which is our signature ebook, and it'll show you exactly how to find out your macros, what you need to do in order to lose that body fat. So thank you for the question. We appreciate it. That was a good question, because I think that's a common question with women.
Do you want to get the results you've always dreamed of? Do you want coaches that genuinely care, are professional, and get back to you in a timely manner? Do you want to be stronger, healthier, and look better naked? Then let me tell you, New York Muscle Radio is definitely your answer. Since working with them, I can hardly believe the results.
They coached me through a post-contest reverse diet and all the way through to an off-season strength program.
These two fitness geniuses have pushed me outside of my comfort zone, and in the process, I have been able to make big jumps on all of my major lifts.
In 14 weeks, I added 100 pounds to my powerlifting total and smashed my first meet.
Since working with them, I've added 55 pounds to my squat, 50 pounds to my deadlift, and 20 pounds to my bench press.
And in 12 weeks, I dropped over 10 pounds of body fat and added over 20 pounds to all my lifts.
I have never had as amazing of glutes as I have training with them. So I can say, no matter what your goals are, you're guaranteed to be stronger, healthier, and let's face it, better looking if Pete and Anthony are your coaches.
So if you are tuning in to listen and learn from the huge array of knowledge these two have, or if you want to hire them as your coaches, you will not be disappointed.
New York Muscle Radio is the best in the business.
You heard it from our New York Muscle Radio clients. Do you want to join our team and reach your fitness goals? Visit NewYorkMuscleRadio.com for all our coaching programs.
But I'll tell you what, when I'm done, my biceps are humongous. Humongous. Like that, bang!
My name is Anthony Bevilacqua, and I'm the host of New York Muscle Radio podcast. My arms have been a weak point for years. When I started training, my arms measured 11 inches. Even after many years of hardcore training, nothing would get them to grow. With the help of my co-host, Big Pete, we set out on a mission to gain 1 solid inch to my arms in 12 weeks.
In the greatest experiment of all.
12 weeks later, this program finally helped me get 18-inch arms. The 12-week arm experiment, the ultimate arm growth program, ebook, the audio book, and the workout video. Pick up your copy now on NewYorkMuscleRadio.com.
Hey, great coffee.
Doesn't it taste good as Fresh Perk?
Better.
Better than those girls make at the office?
Honey, their coffee can't hold a candle to yours.
Coffeine, the world's only instant coffee that's fortified with muscle-building protein. Visit buyproteincoffee.com now.
Damn.
Nice, Pete.
What?
I saw you checking out that girl's butt.
What? I was just checking out her yoga pants.
Pete.
I was thinking you'd look really good in yoga pants.
Uh-huh.
I was like trying to check out what brand it was. Like I was looking at her form on deadlifts. They were all messed up.
Do you think she has a nicer butt than me?
Well, it definitely doesn't look like a pancake.
Did you just call my butt a pancake?
Well, I mean...
What can I do?
You gotta try New York Muscle Radio's Glutealicious program.
Glutealicious?
Yeah, you'll finally get a celebrity booty, like all the other girls following the program.
Fine, I'll do it. But don't get jealous when other guys check out my glutealicious ass.
Glutealicious, your guide to getting a celebrity booty in 12 weeks. Now available exclusively at NewYorkMuscleRadio.com.
What's up, New York Muscle Radio listeners? It's your co-host, Big Pete Kacharian, and I'm glad you're all listening. Put down that tilapia and asparagus. Learn how to get bigger, stronger, and leaner eating what you want. Pick up a copy of Cracking the Flexible Dieting Code exclusively at NewYorkMuscleRadio.com. But for now, let's get to the show.
Okay, guys, we're back. Today we have with us Isabel Norton. Isabel Norton is the head operator of the Norton household, which consists of some dude named Lane Norton and 2 beautiful children. Isabel has been posting a lot on social media lately about her journey coming back from childbirth. I thought it would be a great idea to have her come on the podcast so she could offer all you ladies out there advice, share some of her struggles, and how to overcome them. Isabel, welcome to the New York Muscle Radio podcast.
Thank you. Hi, guys. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, so you're the head operator of the Norton household.
That's a big title, isn't it?
Yeah, I saw that on your Facebook. I was like, that's clever. I'm going to put that in the podcast.
Yeah, you know where I got that from is actually one of our camps. I forget who it was. Oh, Brian Whitaker. He went around the room and he asked us, what's your title? Like, what do you do? And I remember thinking of myself, like, well, I'm kind of the head of the operations of this household. So that's where that was my title, and it just stuck. It was a few years ago.
Yeah, like I said, I saw it on Facebook. I was like, that's clever. I'm going to talk about that on the podcast. That's awesome. Pete, what's up? What's up, man? You sleeping over there?
I'm here, man. I'm this episode is going to be a different one for us because, like we were talking about earlier, me and you both have no personal experience on this topic, so we had to bring someone on who does because our listeners have been asking us some questions. So finally we have someone on here that will address all the questions these listeners have.
I will do my best to answer the questions as best as possible, for sure.
Unless it's like that movie Junior. Did you ever see that movie?
Oh my God, I love that movie. Are you kidding? My first crush as a kid, growing up, was actually Arnold.
Really? Get out of here.
Oh no, I used to have a huge crush on Arnold, especially the movie. First time I ever saw him in a movie was movie Twins.
Oh, that movie's the best. I love that movie.
And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, in Junior, I love the part when he's like, if it's a girl, if it's a boy, Junior. If it's a girl, Junior.
Right? Yeah.
All right, Isabel. Before we jump into this, go ahead. What'd you say?
I say I don't think I can say it's very creative.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so Isabel, before we jump into this, let's tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and give our ladies out there listening a little bit of background on you, because I'm sure there's some people listening to this who might not know who Isabel Norton is.
Well, my fitness journey started when I was really young. I actually started weightlifting when I was like 16 or 17. I can't remember the age. God, it's been a while. And I started lifting because I enjoyed sports. I swam when I was younger. I was the youngest member of the Puerto Rican Olympic swim team.
Oh, wow.
I was 12 years old, and I swam with the team for about a year and a half. And it was great. I almost made it to the Olympics that one year, but I was 12. And
that's so cool.
Yeah. And a lot of people, I remember when I kind of started getting known, like, for competing in figure and whatnot, they would ask me all the time, where'd you get your back? How did you develop your lats? I'm like, swimming. That's really where it came from. I used to be a swimmer. And then I developed really bad chlorine allergies to the pool. So that kind of sucked because I kind of had to, put my swimming aside for a while. And then I took up tennis. And I did that for a couple of years, and then I played volleyball. And I played volleyball in college for 1 year. And I've kept lifting throughout just because I've always enjoyed it. I've always Lane will argue with me, but I've always said when it comes to sports, I'm more of a tomboyish because I like sports and I like the competitive part of it. But yeah, I'm definitely not tomboyish and everything else. I like my shoes and my jewelry just like any other girl. But and then when I met Lane, we would go to bodybuilding shows. This was the first time I was ever introduced to bodybuilding shows. When I first met him, he was 6 weeks out from a natural show that he was doing here in Florida. And I was like, you're doing what? What is that? And I went to a show with him, and it was really cool. And, I started going to shows with him after that. And I would sit in the audience, and I would look at the lineup, and I'd be sitting there like, okay, I'd place this guy first, this guy second. Like I would just sit there, and Lane was like, "You're kind of good at this. Have you ever thought about judging?" I said, "No, but I think it'd be kind of cool." So I test judged for the OCB, and I became a judge, and I judged a couple shows. And I remember it was really hard to give competitors critique afterwards because I'm like, I've never done this. Like I feel like I'm telling somebody like, "Oh, you need to be leaner," when I've never been in their shoes. You know what I mean? So that's when I decided to compete. And in 2009, I did my first 3-figure shows. And I remember that was a series of the Latin Assassin on bodybuilding.com. And I remember for the first episode, for my first show, I was like, no, I don't want them to come film it. Like, I'm super nervous. This is my first time getting on stage, whatever. And that was the only show that year that I actually ended up winning.
Wow.
I know. I won my first show. I got 3rd in the second, and then I got 5th in the last. So I'm like, damn it, maybe I should have had that first show filmed.
Wait, so I actually want to back up a little bit. So when you first heard, when you heard Lane was a bodybuilder, I'm just curious what went through your mind. Did you automatically think of like a guy like Ronnie Coleman? So when he said bodybuilding,
I had no,
confused look.
I had no idea what bodybuilding was. I mean, I knew what bodybuilding was, right? But I didn't know what to expect from a show. So I remember we went to the show, and it was him and 2 of his other friends competing, and it was really cool to see all these like people like show off their hard work and no, I had never really. I mean, the only bodybuilder before that I knew was Arnold. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So no, I had no experience or any idea of what bodybuilding looked like, or or if natural or not natural, anything like that. I just knew it from Lane. So I remember the first time we ever went to the Arnold Classic, I was like, whoa, that's totally different. I'm like, yeah, it was just different, and that's when I started learning about bodybuilding.
All right, so we want to talk about pregnancy in this podcast. So let's just start from kind of the beginning here. So how are babies made?
I mean, I think we can all answer that question because mommy and daddy come together. And
so this is about the extent of my knowledge with pregnancy because I only know how to make babies. So that's about it. I made one. So far we're good. So in all seriousness, let's start with the pregnancy stage. So so obviously you decided to have a kid. Did you were counting macros prior to this? Did you count calories while pregnant? Let's talk a little bit about right before you got pregnant and then when it first happened the first time.
Right. Okay. So we'll go back 4 years ago. My oldest, Robert, he will be 4 in June. And right before I got pregnant with him, I actually did my last powerlifting meet. I did a powerlifting meet in 2012, and I think it was August. And at that point, I was kind of counting because I was trying to stay. It wasn't the USAPL, and I can't remember the weight class, but I had to be under 148 to compete. And I've always been between 150 and like 145. That's where I would fluctuate, right? So, and I could kind of. I'm 5'8". Okay. So yeah, I would always say.
Taller side.
I'm sorry.
You're definitely taller. Most, I
right.
think you're on the taller side when it comes to women. What's like an average? What's the average height for a woman, Pete?
I believe it's like 5'5", 5'6".
Yeah, I'd say about 5'5", 5'6".
I think so. So I'm definitely considered tall for a girl, for a woman. So my weight would always kind of fluctuate right there, like 145, 150. So I kind of was watching what I was eating, but I have to be very honest. I never did. I mean, I would reverse for my shows and I would do a good job of not putting on like 20 pounds in a week. But after I got back to my comfortable weight, because I think the last time I competed in figure, I got down to like 128. Oh, wow. And it took me, I think it was a good 6 months to put on that weight back, right? So I didn't do it right away. But once I got to my comfortable weight, I just kind of did whatever I wanted. I just, fluctuated between those 5 pounds. I cannot say that I've ever been super consistent when it comes to counting my macros, other than when I was competing. Mm-hmm. So I think I can relate to a lot of women out there who don't even know what counting macros are. You know what I mean? But I've never yo-yo dieted either. I've never been like, well, I'm going to go on a starvation diet, or I'm just not going to eat, or, screw it, I'm going to eat whatever the heck I want. No, I've always ate mindfully, and I don't want to say like, I mean, I would eat a variety of foods, but I can't say that I've always been super consistent with counting my macros. So, when I got pregnant with Robert, I kind of did the same thing. I ate very mindfully. I didn't really count my calories or anything like that. I continued to work out because I was cleared by my doctor to do so. Now, I think it's very important to talk about because I get that question a lot myself. How do you know if you should be continuing to work out during your pregnancy? And the rule of thumb is you should not start any activity that you haven't done prior to getting pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, for example, I've never ran a marathon. I was not going to start training for a marathon once I got pregnant. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like kind of just be consistent to what you've been doing. And, of course, I did all the blood work and all that to make sure that I was healthy and the baby was healthy. And my doctor's like, listen, continue to work out. Everything looks fine. So I did. I continued to train with weights. I did modify my weights a little bit not because I didn't want to go heavy, but because my heart rate would shoot up so fast.
Mm-hmm.
You have more blood flow, blood volume when you're pregnant. So my heart rate would just shoot up super high. And they always told me, keep it around 140. So, I mean, I knew that if I couldn't carry a conversation with somebody when I was working, like after I finished a set, I need to take a minute and let my heart rate go down.
Yeah, rest.
Like if I felt really like out of breath for some reason, I'm like, okay, give me 5 minutes and then I'll keep going, So yeah, I think that's very important for a lot of people to know. Like as long as you're cleared by your physician and they tell you that yes, your baby's healthy and you can continue with your training, absolutely do it. I did. I was squatting at 9 months with Robert.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I mean, I never stopped squatting, and now with Robert, I don't know why. I don't know if it's my Latin genes or whatever, but let me tell you what, I gained 60 pounds with that pregnancy.
My wife gained 65 her first pregnancy.
60 flipping pounds, and I was like,
yeah.
I didn't have that mindset that I was eating for two or anything like that. I ate, mindfully. I ate when I was hungry. I gained 60 freaking pounds. And I didn't really know where they came from. But I gained them, and I continued, and I trained that entire time.
Was Robert a big baby?
No. That was the other issue. Robert, I was diagnosed with intrauterine growth restriction. So at some point, the cord got twisted, and he stopped gaining weight.
Oh, wow.
So right around 32 weeks of gestation, I was going for ultrasounds every week. They were really concerned with him, not gaining weight and not getting any bigger. I mean, they would check him constantly, like a hawk. They were watching me. So at 39 weeks, and he was breached. So at 39 weeks, we made the decision with the doctor to get him out.
So then you had to go for a C-section, obviously.
I did. Mm-hmm. I went through a C-section with Robert. He was breached, number one, and then two, he was really small. So he was only 5 pounds and 13 ounces when he was born.
Oh, he was little.
I mean, think of a 5-pound dumbbell. That's how much he weighed.
Yeah.
It's tiny. He was so tiny. So yeah, I think by the time I got home from the hospital, I had dropped like 20 pounds.
Yeah, same thing happened to my wife too, exactly. Well, there's a lot of water. A lot of people don't, when they hear that weight, they're like, whoa, but it's a lot of water that you guys hold. I mean, you got to remember too.
Yeah, amniotic fluid, and then, the placenta, and the baby, and all that stuff. Yeah. So I think I dropped like 20 pounds, and it took me a long time to recover from that surgery for some reason. I mean, they cut you open, Yeah,
it's tough.
It was tough, and taking care of a little one, and the whole new process about being a mother, and then the struggles of breastfeeding, which we can talk about. Yeah, I mean, it was a lot.
Yeah, one of the hardest things I think when we had my daughter Gabriella was my wife she had a C-section also, and you're on the table and you're strapped there, you're like Jesus, you're on like a cross, you can't move, they tie you down, and they gave me the baby, and then they're like, all right, Dad, come on, and I had to like leave my wife. It was one of the hardest things ever because now I have our newborn in my hand, and you get taken away from your wife, and then I'm in the room with the baby, which was great, but it's like an hour. I'm like, is my wife okay? Because it's a serious surgery. Not many people understand how serious C-section is.
So they actually took you out of the room where your wife was?
Yeah. They told me they had to fix her up, whatever, put her back together.
Yeah,
and
stitch her up.
yeah, and then I didn't get to see her, and she didn't get to see the baby until later. I don't even think the next day.
No,
yeah.
That was not my experience. Actually, they kept laying in the same room with me all throughout for both my C-sections.
Wow. I don't know. Yeah. I guess it's different here. I don't know.
They sat, like, he sat next to me, like, by my head. And he just held Robert, and I got to see him there and, like, touch him. The anesthesiologist let one of my arms go so I could touch him and reach out to him. And we sat there until they wheeled me out of the room.
All right. So now let's talk about the journey after that. So now you're 60 pounds up and then dropped 20 right away. So you're 40 pounds up. So what happened from that point? Now you have the baby, you're trying to breastfeed. We'll go over breastfeeding in a second, so we'll leave that aside. But so now let's talk about that journey. for a little bit, and then we'll go back to the breastfeeding thing because that's also a topic I want to talk
Well,
about.
to be perfectly honest, it took me a long time. I went through, I can say this confidently now because I've had 2 babies. I actually went through an undiagnosed case of postpartum depression. For a long time, my doctors would tell me, I just had the baby blues. Like, oh, it's hormones, it's going to pass, you'll be fine. And I was like, okay, so if the doctor's telling me it's okay, then it can't be that, right? So, another thing that came into play is, I'm Puerto Rican, I was born and raised there, and Latin cultures are very much, you take care of your family. That's what women do in our family. You take care of your kid and you take care of your husband and your house. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so those instincts kicked in, and I have to say I neglected what's called self-care. I took care of everybody else but myself. Guilt came into play, resentment, all these things started like coming about. And it was like, what in the heck is going on? But never did it dawn on me in a million years that it was postpartum depression. So the lowest I ever dropped, even before getting pregnant with our daughter, was probably in the 170s. So I never really got that weight off. And I continued to train. Weight training was, I call it my zen. I love going to the gym. It's my quiet place. I can focus. I have a goal. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I remember I would kind of start counting macros for a week or two, and I would get super frustrated and stop. So I was never really consistent with it. And that's hard for me to admit. I think it's hard for anybody to admit, especially with, people are like, well, aren't you married to like Lane and all this stuff? I'm like, yeah, but that's not his journey. It's mine.
Yeah.
So I felt a lot of pressure.
Yeah, that was actually one of my other questions. I guess I could ask it now. So I guess there was stress associated with pregnancy and just being Lane's wife. There had to have been added pressure on you to get back into shape right away then, right?
Absolutely. Everybody around me would say, well, you're just going to bounce back. I'm like, you don't really bounce back. You still have to put work into it.
Yeah. And you had a major surgery too, so it's not easy to just come back from that.
No, it wasn't. But I mean, I think I was in the gym like 10 days later, honestly. Like I needed.
Wow, good for you.
That was the first time I ever left the house, I think, was to go to the gym. I was like, I need to get out of here just for like an hour. I didn't do much. I think I walked on the treadmill and like lifted a 5-pound dumbbell, and I was like, holy crap, I feel like crap. And I remember telling my doctor that, and she's like, you're crazy, and I need you to take it easy. I'm like, I'm trying. I'm like, I'm not used to just sitting at home. You know what I mean? And not doing anything.
Wait, so how long? So before you gave birth, when was the last time you were in the gym versus how long were you? So 10 days after the pregnancy, but when was the last time you were in the gym before? Do you remember? Like, I'm just trying to give people a time reference here.
The day before.
Oh, wow. Okay, so there you go. That was so it was like only 2 weeks you missed at the gym then.
Pretty much. Yeah, I mean, I was in there the day before we had Robert because I knew it was a scheduled C-section. So it's not like I went into labor.
Yeah, that's true.
I knew I was going in the next day. So I was like, okay, I'm getting my last training session. So I went the morning before.
So I actually want to back up a little bit because I have a list of questions from all the female listeners here, and I forgot to ask this one when we talked about it, so we'll come back to where we are now. So One of our listeners on New York Muscle Radio ladies want to know is, will I be physically able to handle the pain in terms of carrying and delivering? So I guess we could talk about that a little bit then. So was it painful, carrying a baby? What was the pains associated with that? Like, I guess what should someone expect?
Well, honestly, every pregnancy is different. Every pregnancy is different. With my son, with Robert, I had what are considered typical aches and pains. I mean, your hips, your body starts releasing this hormone relaxin, which relaxes, it basically stretches out your hips to be able to accommodate for childbirth. Because you have to go, your hips kind of get a little bit wider, and that's why. So I remember there was a point around 7 months when I was pregnant with Robert that I would try to squat and I would feel very unstable because I felt like my hips were just kind of like giving away. I felt like Bambi, like they were just like flop to the side. You know what I mean? And that's
interesting.
Yeah, that was why. Because even my chiropractor told me, he's like, yeah, you have to be very careful and probably shorten your stance because I did a pretty wide stance when I was pregnant, squatting. So I kind of modified a lot of my workouts to accommodate that because it just felt really unstable. But in terms of aches and pains, of course you're gonna have aches and pains. Your body's growing a child. your stomach is distending and going forward. I don't think I had any lower back pain with Robert. That's another one that I hear a lot. I did have some with my daughter, with Livia. With Livia, it was hips. My hips would hurt a little bit. Sleeping at night, at some point it gets uncomfortable because you can't really sleep on your stomach. So you have to either sleep on your back, or they actually recommend on your sides. And after a while, you find yourself on your back, and you're like, whatever, I'm just sleeping here. I'm comfortable. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So with Livia, I actually ended up having like she's wherever her, because she was actually she was facing properly, the proper way to be delivered naturally, and her head was facing down, and she was sitting right on my sciatic nerve.
Oh, the joy.
Oh yeah. So I would get like really bad back pain. It would like shooting pain down my right leg and stuff like that. And I worked with the PT, the one that Lane's been working with, Jamie Alhambra, and she gave me a couple exercises and stretches to do, and that really helped. But I mean, of course, you're gonna feel some pains and aches, but it's not, I can't say that I had anything where it was like, wow, I never want to do that again. You know?
Yeah. So now, did you train with your daughter as well? Like, did you work out during that? So you did.
I did. With Livia, I trained. Last time I trained was Saturday, and she was born on a Monday.
Okay, so you trained right up until, because one of our high-level athletes who competes in powerlifting also wants to know how you handled fatigue and being able to maintain training while pregnant.
I kept drinking BCAAs because my doctor told me it was completely safe to take. I drank BCAAs. I stayed as hydrated as I could, and honestly, it's a mental thing too. Like, you're gonna get fatigued, even when you're not pregnant. You get fatigued, right?
Mm-hmm.
There are times where I would just take the time to try and rest, but my second pregnancy was a little harder because I had a toddler to follow around.
Yeah, I can imagine. How old was Robert?
Robert,
so 3?
Robert was 2.5, 3 when he was 3 when Livia was born.
And that's the worst. Everybody talks about terrible twos, but my daughter's 3 and she's nuts.
Well, and Robert's a special little boy too. He is mildly autistic as well. He was diagnosed at 2.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was diagnosed when he was 2 years old. So add that, stress. He is severely speech delayed. So he doesn't really speak a whole lot. I mean, he has the ability to speak, but he communicates in other ways. So it's been challenging and interesting all at the same time to learn ways to help him communicate. He's been in speech therapy since he was 18 months. He goes to school 5 days a week, where they do speech therapy there. So yeah, I mean, it definitely added an extra component of challenge, if you will.
Yeah, of course, that's not easy. And then throw it, like you said, being pregnant in the mix is definitely not an easy thing.
No, but I continued to train. I would take him with me to the daycare, the gym, and it gave me some time to myself, and it gave him some time to socialize because a lot of autistic kids actually don't do well in social settings. But he does okay. He does pretty good. I can't complain about that one. It could be a lot worse.
See, guys, so, when you have a child, it's not one thing to, kind of worry about your body, but you have to see there's so many other things associated with just pregnancy and just children in general. Children change your life in such a good way, but, being a parent is a big responsibility. So there's a lot that goes into it other than just lifting and lifting.
In your life, for sure.
Yeah. All right, so let's go ahead. Go ahead.
I would say it's challenging. It's the hardest thing you'll ever do, but I wouldn't change it for the world.
Exactly. That's what makes you a great mom.
No, thank you. I appreciate that.
All right, so let's cycle back around now. So I know we're kind of jumping all over the place here, but again, I'm not a woman, so it's very hard for me to organize this and clear-cut information here. So bear with us, guys. All right, so Isabel, let's talk about breastfeeding. We know it's an important topic and also a personal one, so don't feel pressured to answer this, but did you breastfeed during both pregnancies? And if so, were you winging your macros at the time and calories? Let's talk about that because it's a common question that we get asked a lot. And I honestly, when I breastfeed, I just still count my macros. So for me, I don't know.
Count your macros, huh? I tried to breastfeed with both pregnancies. I say tried because I was not successful. For some reason, I was just not able to produce enough to keep those babies fed. And like I said, Robert was really small when he was born. So that kid was hungry when he was born. All he wanted to do was eat. And I mean, every hour, almost for like 3 months, 1 to 2 hours, he would eat.
Wow.
So it was really challenging. And then again, going through at the time, now I know it's postpartum depression. And I think I put a lot of pressure on myself too to breastfeed because it was like the natural thing to do. Wait, but isn't this what women do? Like they just breastfeed, right? Well, no, not everybody's able to breastfeed, and that's okay. So I think that's also very important for a lot of people to understand that if you choose not to breastfeed or you're not able to, it doesn't make you bad mom or it doesn't make you any less of a woman. And I think a lot of people, especially in society, put so much pressure on women to like breastfeed, and it's still their choice. There's nothing wrong with formula. I was raised on formula and I didn't turn out just fine. And now both my kids are too. So when I was trying to breastfeed, I think I upped my calories a little bit, but not by much. I think by 200. So it wasn't like I decided, well, I'm going to breastfeed. I'm going to eat 1,000 extra calories. No, I think I'd only upped it like 200 calories for that like 3 months that I tried with Robert. And then with Livia, since I already had Robert and I knew the experience, I honestly, and I had a lot of stress going on at that time too. I think I ended up doing it for like 2 weeks.
Now, just quick question. So while you were, I guess, upping your calories or whatever and trying to breastfeed, were you conscious of what you were eating? Because obviously whatever you eat, the baby gets. So were you really conscious? Like, so let's talk about that a little bit, because I have no idea. So I'm just curious myself.
I mean, I ate everything. I wasn't like, I forget, oh gosh, it's been a while since I've done that, as you can tell. I think that the things I stayed away from, like anything with like peanuts, because I know that babies are not, they're not supposed to get any sort of peanuts or anything like that to like a year old, just for allergy sakes. And I don't think I had any restrictions. I mean, I'm not a big like salt eater, or you know what I mean? Like my foods are pretty, I guess, boring.
You're bro. It's okay. You could say it. You're bro.
Well, I'm not really bro, but I can eat the same thing every day and be happy with it. Like if I choose to eat like tacos every day for lunch, I'll eat tacos every day for lunch. Like, you know what I mean? Like I'll eat pizza. That's what I want every day. Like I can stick to that and I'm completely fine. Like I hate to use the word meal plans, but sometimes you have to plan ahead, especially after you had a kid, because time is limited. So I would sometimes prep my meals and keep them in the fridge. And it was not because I was trying to be bro or anything like that. It was just convenient.
Yeah, because it's very hard when you have a child, like you said, especially with Robert. He was very small and every hour wanted to eat, and I mean that's got to be tough. Sleeping, a lot of people forget about that. Yeah, exactly. There's no sleeping the first couple months the baby's born.
No, and I have to say, Lane was great helping. He helped. He was a great help with Robert. There's a couple nights that he actually took the monitor away from the room, and I didn't even know he took it, and I slept all night, and I woke up like, what the hell happened? And he's like, he's fine.
When did he start sleeping through the night?
Like 8 or 9 months.
Okay, so just to give you guys an idea, it's definitely not easy, and that's got to put a lot of stress on you, especially since what you were going through. Not sleeping definitely adds to that stress. I'm sure you had, like you said, we talked about the pressure of being Lane's wife and whatnot. You had a lot, riding on it, but you kept everything together, obviously, and then you guys decided to have another kid. So was the second child easier than the first in any sense? Was it harder? Was it easier?
I personally think it was easier.
Everybody says that. Everybody says it's easier the second time.
Because you know what to expect.
Yeah.
It's not surprise. And the shock of like not sleeping or sleep all that, like you kind of already know it's going to happen. But every baby's different, and Livia is completely the opposite to her brother. She's I mean, not that Robert's not a happy kid. He really is a happy kid, but in terms of being a baby, she's been a lot easier. She started sleeping through the night at 6 weeks.
Oh wow. Nice.
So, yeah. And before that, she would do like 4 or 5 hour stretches. So
that definitely made things easier.
1 hour sleep to 4 or 5 hours, you feel like a completely different human.
Yeah. So did you suffer any type of, again, I don't know if this is a personal question, so don't feel free to answer, but did you suffer any postpartum depression the second time around?
Yes.
You did?
I've been in treatment since before she was born.
Okay.
So I was very proactive with Livia because I knew something was off and I knew something was not right the first time, and I was like, I'm not letting that happen again. So I'm gonna bite the bullet, and I started seeing a counselor back in August.
Okay, good.
And I still see her.
Perfect, and it's definitely made a huge difference as far as this time around. Oh my God,
yes. Oh my God, absolutely. I mean, like any sort of, I don't want to say like depression or anything like that, but anything hard that you go through, and I think and especially with mental illness, and actually May happens to be Mental Illness Awareness Month. So, any sort of mental illness, if you don't address it, it's only going to get worse. And there's so many people that suffer from different types of issues, but they don't even acknowledge it because they think it's normal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that was my problem the first time. I thought it was completely normal to go through, through something like that. And no, it's not. I mean, yes, you're going to have hormonal fluctuations and whatnot. And there's actually some research out there that supports that women who have C-sections have higher tendencies to get postpartum depression.
Really? Why?
There's something
did it say?
Yeah.
Like, what did the study say?
There's something to do with natural birth. I don't remember the specific, but it was because when you go through natural birth, the body goes through a process. You know, you go into labor, or they break your water or whatever, and your body has to, like, basically all this surge of hormones work itself through your body during that time. When you have a C-section, your body it just literally goes from being pregnant to not being pregnant. There's nothing in between. There's no labor process. And that's what the labor process is supposed to help with, is to get rid of that surge of hormones. And it makes sense. It totally makes sense, because I woke up, I walked into the hospital that morning. Okay, I'm here to have a baby. You know what I mean? And they cut you open and boom, here's the baby. So
yeah, with my wife, she was in labor for so long. Her water broke at 6 a.m, and then we didn't have Gabriella until night, and Gabriella just wasn't engaging. So she went through the whole thing
the whole process.
The water broke and everything, but then we had to have the C-section. So that's really interesting, because my wife didn't seem to have any struggles bouncing back as far as that goes. So and now that you say that, it kind of makes sense. 'Cause I was thinking about that the whole time. I'm like, I don't think Jen suffered from anything like that.
Yeah. And that's what they're relating it to, is just because the body didn't go through that normal process that it's supposed to go through.
That's so amazing. Isn't the body crazy? So amazing.
I mean, think about it. We grow humans.
That's why women are better than men.
Absolutely. Just kidding.
I'm on your side, man. I don't know if I'd be able to do that. That's definitely a hard thing to do, to go through.
I loved being pregnant both times. With Liv, it was a little bit harder because there are other circumstances surrounding it. But in terms of the pregnancy itself, I loved being pregnant. It's a miracle. It really is. And I know there's so many women in this world that want to have children, they can't. So I felt very blessed to be able to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, let's talk about the positive, because we're kind of like, warning everyone about the things that happen. But let's talk about the positive with pregnancy and just childbirth in general, and just having children, because there's so much positive that comes in it. And let's kind of turn this around here. Make everyone smile a little bit on this podcast instead of like, oh my God, I'm never having kids.
This is going to be great birth control for a lot of people. I mean, it definitely changes your life. You know this. You've got little ones. But the joy they bring into your life. I mean, here you are. Now you've created this little human. He's part of you and part of your wife. And you're responsible for taking care of them. But it's not just taking care of their everyday needs, but it's just seeing them grow and seeing them experience the world. And it's like you get to see the world in a different light when you have a child. It makes it a little bit scarier, too. Because you're like, I don't want to expose them to the bad things in the world. But at the same time, it's like you get this little time to just enjoy the really, really good things. You know what I mean? Like seeing them explore, like when they see a butterfly for the first time and you see them following it around in the yard, chasing it. You're like, that's just the innocence of a child. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah. And then when they turn to you and say certain things too, it's just.
God. Yeah. I mean, Robert, like I said, he doesn't speak a whole lot, but it was about a month ago when he first said Mama Love. He said Mama Love. And he said Mama and Papa before. We've gotten those, but he never said those two words together. And he put his hand on my heart.
Oh, how cute.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it just.
You must have died.
I did. Lane was out of town. And I remember calling him, crying. And he's like, oh my God, what's wrong? I'm like, nothing's wrong. Robert just said Mama Love. And yeah, we both had a good cry about it. And yeah, it was just little moments that just kind of make it all worthwhile.
Yeah.
And I can't wait for him to continue to express himself verbally,
It's such a cool story. My daughter's first word was no. I was so happy about that. I said, just keep saying no the rest of your life and I'll be happy.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
No, everything was
Robert
no.
said Papa. I'm like, no, Mama.
Oh boy, so funny. So now let's talk about, you've been putting up a lot of stuff on social media lately. Let's talk about now. So now you had the second child. I don't know if you guys are planning on having any other kids.
No.
So that was a definite. So once you made that decision on not having any other kids, did you just say, okay, it's time for me to get my body back? Like, so let's talk about this shift now, because like you said, the first time around, you kind of were, you didn't want to get back in shape. You know what I mean?
I just honestly, I struggled a lot with it. And I think it's because I wasn't getting the proper help that I needed in terms of like therapy. Because that has made a huge impact in my life. It really has. So what was different this time? Number one, getting the support that I needed from a mental health professional. I did start a medication, like literally in the hospital with Livia. I started antidepressants. So just being proactive up front really, really kind of, I think, set tone for the rest of, the post pregnancy. And I decided, I wanted to use Avatar Nutrition. Elaine's been involved with it for a long time. And I'm like, damn it, why haven't I used this resource? Like, all these people are getting great results and whatnot and using this awesome tool. And I have it right on my fingertips and I haven't taken advantage of it. So I was like, screw it, I'm doing it. So it was a mind shift. I committed to the process. I was like, I am doing this no matter what. I know there's going to be tough times and I know there's going to be, challenges with it, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to stick to it. And by God, I mean, in the first couple of weeks, I was down, I think it was a total of 6 pounds in 2 weeks.
That's awesome. Wait, did we talk about how much did you gain with your daughter?
35.
Oh, okay. So it was less the second time. And it was the same eating pattern, nothing really changed as far as that goes?
Nope, nothing really changed. I think my intensity of training was a little bit higher. I would do shorter workouts, but they would be a lot more intense. And of course, I kept my heart rate in check and all that stuff. But I think I put a little more focus into my training than I did with Robert. You know what I mean? I actually was going in there and I had, it wasn't well, I'm here, I'm just going to do half-hour cardio. No, I was in there to lift weights and I don't know, I actually really enjoyed it.
So how long have you been on your journey now since you recently restarted? So you mentioned you lost 6 pounds in 2 weeks, but it's been longer than 2 weeks now. So where are you up to now? Let's talk about present day now.
I forget how many weeks I'm into it. 9 weeks into it. 9. I think a total of 9 weeks so far that I've been, using consistently Avatar Nutrition. And I would say I'll have to go back and think. I'm from the time Olivia was born to today, I'm down 48 pounds.
Awesome. Good for you. Yeah, because every day I see, I follow you on Snapchat. I mean, not Snapchat, Instagram. It's same thing now, whatever. And every day I see a new picture in the mirror of down, waist is down, waist is down. I'm like, good for her. Good for her.
Cool. It's pretty cool to see. I'm like, wait, it's still there. I see abs. They're in there. But it was just a different mindset. And I've been working with Brad Couliard now for 6 weeks. I've had him write a program for me because I told him that I want to get back on the powerlifting platform this year. So he did my programming and we're working on it. And so now I have the component of Avatar Nutrition. I have my programming for my workouts and the combinations kind of come together very, very well. It's given me some focus and purpose. And it's been really fun.
Good for you. That's good. It's good to hear that, everything's coming together now for you. And I'm excited to hear about you doing powerlifting. When is your meet going to be? Did you pick one? You got kind of an idea?
I haven't picked one yet. I think the calendar for the USAPL is only out till October, but I know in November there are a couple of meets down in South Florida because we've attended them. So it'd probably be late fall, to be honest with you. I want to right now I'm right around the weight that I need to be to compete in the I think it's 72 kilo class, which is 158. I mean, I'm 150 right now. So, but the other weight class is 138. I'm like, I don't know if I want to get down to 138 so quickly just to compete in powerlifting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I kind of want to get a couple more, and I'll talk to Brad more about it and see what he thinks in terms of me being ready. But I think I probably need a couple rounds of really good training volume before I feel comfortable pushing the weights again. Because I want to go back, and my goal is to hit higher numbers than I did last time. I don't want to beat anybody else. I don't need to compete with anybody else. I'm competing with myself. I know that last time I think I squatted 235 or 225, benched 125, and deadlifted 305. So I want to go back and I want to do more than that. That's the goal.
So I want to just touch on the fact that you.
Oh, Pete, you woke up, man! I thought you thought about birth control after this podcast.
Oh, I did. I was contemplating it, but No, I have a question now that she brought up that she's now losing the weight again after the pregnancy, because I always heard from women, even my mother said this to me, after childbirth, it's so hard to lose weight. And I always said to myself, is that an excuse, or is that a real thing? Since you've been through phases of dieting down while not pregnant and then post-pregnancy, do you notice a significant difference?
Not really. Once I committed to the process of following my macros and being consistent with it and being consistent with my training, the results were there. It was just a matter of putting in the work. I think a lot of women think it's hard because it's time consuming. You have to plan for it. And they get, especially if you have 2 or 3 kids. I have 2 little ones, and it can be challenging, but I make it a priority. And I think a lot of women, I hate to say that, don't make it a priority. Listen, my mom never really lost her baby weight either. So I think they just kind of get, okay, well, this is the way I'm going to look like, then I'm okay with it. They just get complacent.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm not blaming women for feeling like that. Listen, I've been on both sides. I was in the side that I didn't really lose it with Robert, and I was kind of like in between. I was kind of happy with the way I looked, but not really, and just kind of lingered on there. Then I got pregnant, and then this time around I was like, but I'm not really happy with the way I look, and unless I decide to change it, it's not going to change.
Yeah. So you had a C-section the first time. Did you have it again? Second time?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So now let's talk about that, because obviously that changes your physique. Let's for anyone who hasn't been pregnant or hasn't had a C-section, let's talk about that, because I think that's something also to bring up, because obviously your body does change from that, because they're cutting actual muscle. So go ahead, I want you to talk about it.
Yeah, there's definitely a scar. It's very low, so it's like right above your bikini area, so it's not like anybody can really see it. But for me, what I feel like, I've seen other women who've had C-sections and their stomachs look completely flat. And I'm like, how in the hell? You know what I mean? And I feel like, and I don't know what I'll do about it. I definitely, and that's one of the things I want to continue to do. I want to continue to get leaner to see how much I can avoid not having any sort of I hate the idea of having like a tummy tuck or anything like that, because that's more surgery, right?
Yeah, of course. I think it's almost a similar surgery in that they just pull the stomach in, though, right? Don't they sew it back together and then pull down? Right?
I haven't really looked into it very much.
I don't know if I scared you.
No, I've had people who've done it and they're like, it sucks. They actually cut you open and they pull. Yeah, it's definitely not. I'm going to get a tummy tuck and be walking around the next day with a flat stomach. It doesn't. No, you're having major surgery. But yeah, getting this, the second C-section, I already knew what to expect, and I actually feel like I bounced back so much quicker from that one. I was walking around within a few hours. I was like, I need to move. Don't let me sit. Because I was like, I think the more I sat with Robert, the more it made it that much harder to move again. Yeah. So with Liv, the nurses would come in and they would check on me like, why are you sitting up? I'm like, because I don't want to lay in a bed all day. I have a little one to take care of. And they're like, you shouldn't even be walking right now. And I was like, no, I got this. We're good. I don't know. The mindset was just different this time around. And I don't know if it was because I had been through it before and I knew what to expect. Even the pain felt less with Livia. And both pregnancies afterwards, or both surgeries, excuse me, I did not take any narcotics either.
You're tough.
I was like, I am not getting knocked out all day and being drugged up all day when I have a little one to take care of. I just didn't do it.
It's funny because I hear women totally opposite. I heard women like you, no drugs, no drugs, no drugs. Then you hear the other women who are like, no, I need it. So everybody's so different when it comes to that. Everybody has their personal preference.
I think a lot of women refer to the epidural during natural labor. A lot of women don't want to do the epidural for whatever reasons. They don't want, they don't want to have the medication or whatever. And then you have the women that are extremely adamant about getting it. Like, nope, I'm getting it. So I never experienced childbirth. Like I said, I have both. Actually, with Livia, my water did break, but they didn't let me get to that labor process because I was at high risk for. When you have one C-section, usually you have a second one afterwards because they say that for me, the risk of that rupturing, for the uterus rupturing in the spot where they did the C-section the first time was pretty high. Yeah. So I've never experienced labor. I've had friends who tell me, listen, it wasn't that bad. And I know other girlfriends who said, listen, that freaking sucked. That was the most painful thing I've ever done in my life. So I don't blame women for getting medication or anything like that. But when it comes to like narcotics, I was like, I can't go home and pop a freaking Vicodin and be out all day. You know what I mean?
That won't work.
It doesn't work. No.
Yeah. Take care of 2 kids, then take care of Lane. I mean, come on.
Yeah, seriously, right? Yeah, no,
Right, so
I didn't do it.
do you think we missed anything, Isabel? Again, you're the prettiest one in the room here. Did we miss anything that our women who are listening to this are going to want to know? Did I skip anything? Again, it's very hard for me.
Well, I guess the best advice I can give women that are, either pregnant or considered to be pregnant is if you've worked out before and you want to continue, you should definitely continue to work out. You feel better. You feel healthier. There's some sort of balance in your life. And nutrition is definitely important. I mean, I can say that because, again, I've been on both sides of the spectrum. Where I didn't really watch what I ate and I didn't take care of my metabolism either. So after having 2 kids, I can say that, my metabolism definitely suffered and of course with age. So taking care of your metabolism during your pregnancy is very important because it's only going to help you bounce back that much quicker. And by bounce back, that means a lot of different things for a lot of women. Some women want to bounce back and they want to get back down to like pre-pregnancy pants, and that's awesome. Some women want to bounce back and compete again in figure. You know what I mean? So whatever that looks like for them, just know that it's okay to take care of yourself. You've just had a child, and it's okay to take some time off if you need it and do things for you. And nutrition and training are those things that I like to do for myself. So, yeah, and motherhood is amazing. I mean, it has its challenges, but I would not change it for the world. Nope, not at all.
Perfect. Isabel, where can our listeners find out more about you and watch your journey? Because like I said, this is the reason why I wanted to pull you on here was because I've been watching your progress in the past couple of weeks, and I'm like, look at her go.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. On my Instagram account, aloha_Isabel, ISABEL. That's usually where I do a lot of my posts and stuff like that. On Facebook, I have a fan page, Isabel Norton, My Journey. And I'm working on my website, isabelnorton.com as well. So any of those 3 different places, they can usually, get on there and see what I've been up to.
And I commend you so much for being so open and honest on this podcast, because we get a lot of people who come on here and just try to make themselves seem bigger and better than everybody else. And I love when people come on here because we like to pride ourselves in this podcast in saying that we cut through all the fluff and we tell it like it is. And I'm glad you came on here and talked about your struggles, because there's so many people out there who struggle with similar things, and sometimes they feel like they're the only ones. So it's
Absolutely.
So good when
I felt like that. I can say that I felt like I was alone for a long time in that sense. So I've been there, and you're not. And once you reach out and you find the proper help and support, you find out that you're definitely not alone. And I think a lot of people in the fitness industry especially tend to want to just portray all the good stuff. You know what I mean? Just put out the good stuff. I look great today. Look at the selfie, whatever. People go through stuff just like everybody else. And I just get tired of that BS too. I'm like, no, not everybody that has a baby 6 weeks later has abs, and that's okay. You know what I mean? Like, we're not all the same, and that's okay. I mean, listen, I remember doing that the first time. I would go online, I would compare myself to all the other women that had babies. I'm like, why can't I do that? And it was because I wasn't putting in the work. So it takes some time to sit back, self-reflect, and figure out what you want to do with it.
Yeah, well, you're definitely inspiring a lot of women, because I saw you post up like messages that you get from people, and it's such a good feeling, and I can only imagine. And so happy for you getting your body back, 2 beautiful kids.
I feel like I'm still Stella getting her groove back.
You're getting it back. I think you already got it back. Aren't you back to your normal weight already? You said you were like around 150, right?
Yes, I'm back to my normal weight before I got pregnant with Robert.
Yeah, awesome. Good for you.
Yeah.
All right. Isabel, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it. Pete, it's your turn. I know you're scared. I scared you this whole episode, man. Sorry.
I'm terrified. He's gonna be like, dude, what the heck?
He's like, I'm never getting married ever.
I'm going to rethink everything now. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm going to wait till I'm like 40, 50.
At least, yes. All right, guys. Pete and Anthony with Isabel Norton, New York Muscle Radio, and we're out.
Enjoyed this episode of New York Muscle Radio? Make sure to hit that subscribe button, leave us a 5-star review, and be sure to follow us on Facebook, New York Muscle Radio.